The morning they laughed at her weakness was the morning a ghost walked among them, and by sunset one of them would be dead, another would be a traitor, and the trembling girl they mocked would be holding a gun she wasn't supposed to know how to use. At Redstone Ridge, 47 recruits learned to fight, but Lena Cross came to hunt. Her arm shook. Her breath stuttered. They saw prey. They were wrong. Before we begin, if you're enjoying this story, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this tale travels. Now, let's dive in. The air at 0500 hours tasted like diesel and sweat. Redstone Ridge Training Base squatted in the Virginia hills like a wounded animal, all concrete and rust, chain link and razor wire. Mist crawled over the obstacle course, thick enough to choke on. 47 recruits stood in formation on the gravel yard, boots aligned, spines straight, eyes forward, the kind of rigid posture that came from fear more than discipline. Staff Sergeant Marcus Kane prowled the line like a predator selecting prey. "Sound off!" voices barked in sequence, sharp, uniform, loud enough to prove they weren't afraid even though they were. Lena Cross stood third row, second from the left. 5'6", maybe 120 pounds soaking wet. Brown hair pulled back tight enough to hurt. Her face was pale, sharp-featured, forgettable. The kind of face that disappeared in crowds. Her right arm hung at her side, trembling. Not a shake, a tremor. The kind that suggested nerve damage, old injury, something permanent and wrong. She didn't look at anyone. Didn't move except for that involuntary quiver running from shoulder to fingertips like electrical current through damaged wire. Kane noticed. Of course he noticed. That was his job, finding weakness, exploiting it, burning it out or sending it home. He stopped in front of her, boots crunching gravel, 6'2", 220, all scar tissue and bad attitude. 15 years in the infantry, 3 combat deployments. A man who'd seen people die and stopped caring about the reasons why. "Cross." Her eyes snapped to him, gray, flat, no fear in them, which was wrong. Everyone feared Kane the first week. That was the point. "Yes, Sergeant." "Your arm." "Yes, Sergeant." "Problem?" A pause. 3 seconds, long enough for the recruits nearby to start paying attention. "Permission to see medical, Sergeant." Silence dropped like a hammer. Then laughter, sharp, scattered, quickly suppressed, but not quick enough. It rippled down the formation like wind through tall grass. Brent Cole, 4th row, former college linebacker, all shoulders and confidence, let out a low whistle. "Day 1 and she's already tapping out." More laughter. Phones came out. Against regulations, but Kane let it slide for 5 seconds because humiliation was a teaching tool. "Dead weight," someone muttered. Female voice. Riley Martinez, competitive to the point of cruelty, already sizing up who'd wash out first. Kane raised a hand. Silence returned, incomplete, buzzing with suppressed amusement. "Medical." He said it like the word tasted bad. "You want medical. Day 1. Formation's been standing for 6 minutes." "Yes, Sergeant." "And what exactly hurts, Cross?" "Old injury, Sergeant. Nerve damage, right arm, intermittent tremors, documented in my medical file." Her voice was flat, not defensive, not apologetic, just stating facts. That bothered Kane more than if she'd been scared. "Documented," he repeated. "So you knew about this before you signed up?" "Yes, Sergeant." "And you came anyway?" "Yes, Sergeant." "Why?" Another pause, longer this time. Her eyes stayed level, but something moved behind them, too fast to track. "Wanted to serve, Sergeant." More laughter. Kane didn't stop it this time. Brent leaned toward the recruit beside him, Jason Park, wiry, quiet, already regretting his enlistment. "She's not going to make it to lunch." "She's not going to make it to breakfast," Jason whispered back. Kane circled her slowly. Predator behavior, establishing dominance. "You wanted to serve," he said. Noble, touching. "But here's the thing, Cross. I've got 46 other recruits who can use both arms, who aren't shaking like a chihuahua in a thunderstorm, who might actually complete basic without requiring a medical escort every 6 hours. He stopped in front of her again, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. "So I'm going to give you a choice. You've got 10 seconds to fall back into formation and stop wasting my time, Or you can grab your duffel, head to processing, and we'll send you home with a thanks for trying and a handshake. Your call." Lena didn't move, didn't speak. Her arm kept shaking. Worse now, maybe. Or maybe the same but more visible in the silence. 10, Kane said. The gravel yard held 50 people and no sound except wind and distant engines. 9. Brent pulled out his phone again. Recording. This would be good for the group chat later. Remember that girl who tried to join the army with a bum arm? 8. Lena's left hand moved, slight, controlled, to grip her right forearm just below the elbow, steadying it. The tremor continued through her fingers. 7. Her sleeve shifted, just an inch, just enough. Dark ink showed for half a second, curved, detailed, gone before anyone could process what they'd seen. 6. Riley Martinez frowned. She'd been watching closer than the others. Competitive instinct analyzing every weakness. Something about that tattoo. 5. Kane's hand reached for Lena's shoulder. Not rough, just firm. The grip that said, "I'm about to physically remove you from my formation and my base and my fucking army." His fingers closed on fabric. Lena moved. Not fast, not dramatic, just shifted. Weight transfer, angle change, minimal rotation. Kane's hand found empty air where her shoulder had been a millisecond before. She was 3 inches to the left, still at attention, still staring forward, still trembling. Kane's expression went from annoyed to interested. "Well," he said softly, "that was cute." He reached again, same shoulder, faster this time. Lena slipped it again, different direction, same economy of motion, same trembling arm. The laughter stopped. Jason Park leaned toward Brent. "Did you see?" "Shut up," Brent said. Not loud. He was watching now. Actually watching. Kane didn't grab a third time. Instead, he smiled. The expression didn't reach his eyes. "Cross, you just dodged a superior officer, twice." "You didn't give an order, Sergeant. You reached for me. I maintained parade rest positioning." Technically true. Technically bullshit. Everyone knew it. Kane's smile widened. "Smart mouth. I like that. Means you've got fight in you." He stepped back, addressing the formation. "Cross here thinks she can hang with 2 armed recruits despite her documented medical condition. I think she's wasting everyone's time. So we're going to settle this right now." He turned back to Lena. "Physical assessment. Right now. You pass, you stay. You fail, you're on the first bus home. Sound fair?" "Yes, Sergeant." "Good. Because I'm not going to make it easy." They moved to the PT yard. 100 square meters of packed dirt, pull-up bars, and ghosts of recruits who'd washed out before. The formation followed. This was better than breakfast. This was entertainment. Kane pointed at the ground. "Push-ups, standard form. I want 50. You use one arm, I'll count it as 2. You use both." He glanced at her trembling right arm. "Good luck." Lena dropped without hesitation. Front-leaning rest, left arm positioned, right arm tucked against her ribs. The yard went quiet again. "Begin." She dropped. Chest to dirt. Back up. Controlled. Smooth. 1. Down. Up. 2. Her right arm shook violently against her side but didn't move from its tucked position. All the work went through her left shoulder, left tricep, core stabilizers. 3. 4. 5. Brent whistled low. "No fucking way." 6. 7. Kane watched without expression. "Keep going, Cross." 8. 9. 10. Sweat started showing through her shirt. Her breathing stayed even, in through the nose, out through the mouth, timed to the movement. 15. 20. Riley Martinez shifted uncomfortably. She'd barely managed 30 regulation push-ups yesterday, and she had both arms working. 25. 30. The tremor in Lena's right arm was worse now, visible spasms running up through her shoulder, but her form didn't break. 35. 40. Kane crouched beside her. "You know what I think, Cross? I think you're showing off. I think this is some kind of point you're trying to make." She didn't respond, just kept moving. 45. Her left arm was quivering now too. Different kind of shake, muscle fatigue, not nerve damage. 48. Kane stood, placed his boot in the center of her back. Not crushing, just pressure, adding weight. Finish it. 49. The gravel scraped her chest through the thin PT shirt. Her face was red, veins standing out in her neck. 50. She pushed up and held the top position, Kane's boot still on her back. "Sergeant," she said quietly. "Done." He stepped off. She collapsed forward, forehead touching dirt, gasping. 5 seconds. 10. Then she pushed herself up to kneeling, then standing. Her right arm hung limp, shaking worse than before. Her left was barely functional, trembling from exertion, but she was upright. "Not bad," Kane said, "for a one-arm recruit. Let's try something harder." Well, the obstacle course at Redstone Ridge was designed to break people. Wire crawl under live rounds, simulated, thank God, but the principle held. Wall climb, 8 feet vertical. Rope ascent, 30 feet. Balance beam over water. Monkey bars, tire run. Most recruits failed it completely the first week. The ones who passed usually puked after. Kane pointed at the starting line. Standard course. Standard time. You fall, you fail, you quit, you're out. Questions? "No, Sergeant." "Then move." Lena moved. The wire crawl came first, 50 meters of mud and barbed wire, low enough that you had to stay on your belly. Drag yourself forward with elbows and knees. She dropped to her stomach and started moving. Left arm doing most of the pulling, right arm tucked close, useless, but positioned so it wouldn't snag the wire. Her body moved in a rhythm that looked almost lazy, minimal energy expenditure, maximum ground coverage. Not the way they teach it here. This was something else, something older. She cleared the crawl in 90 seconds. Average time was 2 minutes. Record was 70. The wall came next. 8 feet of smooth wood, no handholds, just upper body strength and momentum. Lena backed up 10 paces, ran, hit the wall with her left foot at waist height, pushed up, grabbed the top edge with her left hand. Her right arm swung up, useless, shaking, but the movement helped her weight distribution. She pulled herself over and dropped to the other side. Clean, efficient, fast. Brent wasn't smiling anymore. "What the fuck?" The rope ascent was where it should have ended. 30 feet of 1-inch hemp. Most recruits used a footlock technique, legs doing the work while arms guided. Lena wrapped the rope around her left forearm, gripped it with her left hand. Her right arm pressed against the rope for stability but did no pulling. Then she climbed, not fast, not slow, mechanical, like a machine calculating optimal movement paths. Her technique was wrong, or rather, it wasn't anything taught in basic training. It was the kind of thing you learned in specialized units, the kind of thing that had no business being in a new recruit's skill set. She reached the top, touched the marker, descended in a controlled slide that probably burned the hell out of her left palm, hit the ground, stood, waited. Captain Marcus Hale stood at the edge of the course. 38, intelligence background, sharp eyes, sharper mind. He'd been watching from the beginning, tablet in hand, logging performance metrics. He wasn't looking at the tablet anymore. He was looking at Lena. "Time," Kane called out. 4 minutes, 18 seconds. Base record was 3:55, set by a Special Forces washout who'd already completed Ranger School before psychological issues kicked him down to basic. Lena had done it with one arm compromised, 4 seconds off the record. The yard was silent except for wind and Lena's controlled breathing. Kane walked over to her. "Weapons assembly. Let's see if you're as good with your hands as you are showing off." They moved to the armory tent. M4 carbine, standard issue, disassembled on the table. 23 components. Proper assembly in under 2 minutes was passing. Under 90 seconds was good. Under a minute meant you'd done it before. "Begin." Lena's hands moved and immediately fumbled. The upper receiver clattered against the table. Her right hand seized up mid-reach. Parts scattered. Laughter returned. Relieved laughter. She was human after all. She could fail. She tried again. Dropped the bolt carrier. Her hands shook, both of them now. Right arm worse, but left joining in. "Come on, Cross," Kane said. Not mocking. Almost gentle. "You're better than this." She wasn't. Her hands wouldn't cooperate. Parts fell. The charging handle went in backward. She had to restart twice. 5 minutes, 8, 12. Finally, she stepped back. The weapon was assembled, barely. Wrong order, sloppy, functional but ugly. Kane picked it up, examined it, set it down. Disappointing, he said. But Captain Hale was frozen 10 feet away, staring at his tablet like it had just shown him a ghost. Because what Lena had demonstrated, fumbling, shaking, dropping parts, wasn't failure. It was an advanced breakdown sequence, SOF technique, used by operators who needed to disassemble weapons in the dark, under stress, without looking. She'd done it backward, on purpose, making it look like incompetence while actually demonstrating muscle memory from training that didn't exist in her file. Hale's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. His face went pale. "Sergeant Kane," he said quietly, "clear the tent, now." Kane frowned. "Sir, we're in the middle of—" "Now, Sergeant?" The tone left no room for argument. 30 seconds later, the tent was empty except for Hale, Kane, and Lena. Hale stared at his tablet, then at Lena, then back at the tablet. "Lena Cross," he said slowly. "Born Cleveland, Ohio, community college, no military family, no prior service. Applied 6 months ago, spotless background check." He looked up. "That about right?" "Yes, sir." "Bullshit." The word hung in the air like cordite. Hale turned the tablet around, showed her the screen. A message. 3 lines. Classification marking so high it made Kane inhale sharply. Operational security alert. Subject: Lena Cross. Do not engage. Contact Central Command immediately. "I just got flagged," Hale said softly, "by a system that only activates for personnel involved in compartmentalized programs, the kind that don't officially exist." He stepped closer. "So I'm going to ask you one time, and I need you to be very fucking honest with me. Who are you?" Lena's expression didn't change. "I'm a recruit, sir." "Try again." I enlisted to serve, sir." "3rd time. And if you lie to me again, I'm locking this base down and calling in people who will make your life very unpleasant." Silence. Her right arm kept shaking. Her eyes stayed level. From outside the tent, voices. Movement. The sound of boots on gravel. Brent Cole's voice, loud, obnoxious. "Yo, where'd the cripple go? I want to get a selfie with—" He pushed through the tent flap. Saw Lena. Grinned. "There you are. Holy shit, that rope climb was actually impressive. For a—" He reached for her arm. The right one. The shaking one. Maybe he wanted to clap her on the shoulder. Maybe he was just being an asshole. It didn't matter. Lena moved. 3 things happened in the space between heartbeats. 1. She pivoted left, weight shifting, right foot anchoring. 2. Her left hand caught Brent's wrist, redirecting his momentum, using his own reach against him. 3. She dropped, twisted, and Brent went airborne. He hit the ground flat on his back. The air exploded from his lungs in a woof that sounded like death. Before he could process what happened, Lena was on him, knee on his chest, left hand controlling his right arm. Her right arm, still shaking, still damaged, pressed against his throat. Not choking, just positioned, ready. Her face showed nothing, no anger, no satisfaction, just absolute mechanical calm. Then she blinked, released him, stood up, stepped back. Brent gasped, rolled onto his side, clutching his ribs. "What the fuck?" Lena's sleeve had torn in the movement. Her right arm was fully visible now, pale skin, muscle definition that didn't match her file, and ink. Black ink. Professional work. A serpent coiled from wrist to shoulder, 7 rings, scales detailed enough to count. In its jaws, a human skull. The room went absolutely still. Kane recognized it first. His face went gray. "Jesus Christ," he whispered. Captain Hale stepped closer, staring at the tattoo. "That's not possible. That unit doesn't—" They were— The tent flap opened again. Colonel David Reeves entered. 52, silver hair, 30 years of service. Commander of Redstone Ridge, a man who'd seen every kind of soldier the Army produced. He looked at Lena, at her exposed arm, at the serpent tattoo, and he saluted. Full regulation, crisp, immediate. "Ma'am," he said quietly. We need to talk. Lena Cross, recruit, washout, trembling girl with a bum arm, straightened to attention. When she spoke, her voice was different, colder, older, the voice of someone who'd seen things that weren't in any manual. With respect, sir, we needed to talk 3 weeks ago, before someone on this base sold my unit to the people who killed them. The temperature in the tent dropped 10 degrees. Outside, 46 recruits waited for breakfast, laughing about the girl who couldn't hack it. Inside, a ghost explained why she'd come home, and why, before she left, someone was going to die. The tent smelled like gun oil and fear. Colonel Reeves held the salute for 3 seconds, long enough to make his point. Long enough for everyone in the tent to understand that the hierarchy they'd assumed was wrong. Lena returned it, slower, her right arm still trembling, but the movement precise despite the damage. At ease, Reeves said quietly. She didn't move to parade rest, just stood there watching him with those flat gray eyes that had seen too much. Brent was still on the ground, wheezing, staring up at the woman who'd put him there like she was a magic trick he couldn't figure out. His hand moved toward his phone. Touch that phone and I'll break your fingers, Kane said without looking at him. Not a threat. A statement of fact. Brent's hand stopped. Reeves gestured to the table. Captain Hale? Sergeant Kane. Sit. Cross. He paused, corrected himself. Ma'am. You too. I'll stand, sir. That wasn't a request. Lena sat, spine straight, hands flat on the table. Her right hand jumped and twitched against the metal surface like something trying to escape. Hale pulled up a folding chair, still gripping his tablet like it might explode. Kane remained standing, arms crossed, face unreadable. Reeves looked at Brent. You, out. Sir, out. Go to medical. Get checked for concussion. Tell them you tripped during PT. If I hear one word about what happened in this tent, I will personally ensure you spend the rest of your enlistment cleaning latrines in Alaska. Clear? Yes, sir. Brent scrambled up and out, moving faster than he had during any drill. The tent flap settled. Silence dropped like a hammer. Reeves sat across from Lena, studied her face. The tattoo. The tremor. How many are left? He asked. 1, sir. Just you. Yes, sir. Kane's jaw tightened. What unit? Reeves glanced at him. You don't have clearance for that information, Sergeant. With respect, sir, she just put one of my recruits on his ass in under 2 seconds. I think I've earned... You haven't earned anything except the knowledge that you're in a room with someone who could kill everyone on this base before breakfast and make it look like accidents. Reeves's voice stayed level, conversational. So I'm going to ask you very politely to shut the fuck up and let me handle this. Kane shut up. Hale set his tablet on the table. The screen showed a file, heavily redacted, mostly black bars, a few sentences visible between the censorship. Operation Nightfall. Terminated casualties. Redacted. Survivors. Redacted. Status. Compartmentalized. No further access. I got 3 paragraphs before the system locked me out, Hale said. Then I got a call from someone who wouldn't identify themselves telling me to secure the subject and await instructions. 20 seconds later, I got a second call countermanding the first and telling me to stand down. He looked at Lena. You've got friends in high places, or enemies. I can't tell which. Both, sir. Reeves leaned back in his chair. Your file says you're 24, community college dropout, worked retail before enlisting, no family, no criminal record, no prior military service. He paused. Everything in that file is a lie, isn't it? Not everything, sir. I did work retail, 3 months. It was a cover. For what? For watching someone who needed watching. Did they need watching because they were dirty? They needed watching because we thought they were dirty. Turns out they were just stupid. Kane made a sound that might have been a laugh or a cough. Reeves drummed his fingers on the table. How long have you been in? Sir? The military, special operations, whatever the hell you actually do. How long? Lena's eyes shifted, just slightly, looking past Reeves at something that wasn't in the tent. 9 years, sir. You're 24. Yes, sir. The math didn't work. couldn't work. Unless… Shit, Hale breathed. You're a legacy recruit. Lena said nothing. Legacy recruits were the worst-kept secret in JSOC. Kids of operators who grew up on bases, learned tactical movement before they learned algebra, spoke 3 languages by 16. The ones who enlisted at 18 with skill sets that took most soldiers a decade to develop. The ones who disappeared into units that didn't officially exist. Reeves's expression didn't change, but his fingers stopped drumming. And the tremor? Nerve damage, sir. Ulnar nerve, sustained during She stopped. Breathed. During captivity. The word landed like a grenade. How long? Reeves asked quietly. 72 days, sir. Kane's face went pale. 72 days. SEER training, survival, evasion, resistance, escape. Prepared soldiers for 48 hours of simulated captivity. Anything beyond that was real-world nightmare fuel. And your unit? Dead, sir. All of them. All but because someone here told the wrong people where we'd be. The tent felt smaller suddenly. Walls closing in. Hale leaned forward. You're saying this base has a leak. Someone with access to classified operational intel. Not just access, sir. Someone with compartmentalized clearance. Someone who knew deployment schedules, safe house locations, exfil routes. Someone trusted. That's impossible, Hale said. The security protocols are shit, Lena cut him off. Respectfully, sir, I've been on base for 3 weeks. In that time, I've identified 7 separate OPSEC violations, 4 unsecured terminals, and 2 personnel who discuss classified information in the chow hall when they think nobody's listening. Reeves's expression went cold. 3 weeks. You've been here 3 weeks and you're just now… I wasn't sure, sir. I needed to observe, gather data, confirm patterns. Her right hand spasmed against the table. I'm sure now. Kane finally spoke. You've been running an investigation, on my watch, with my recruits. Yes, Sergeant. And you didn't think to maybe inform the chain of command? The chain of command might be compromised, Sergeant. That's the point. Silence. Outside, the morning routine continued, drill instructors shouting, recruits running, the normal chaos of a training base that had no idea a ghost was walking its halls. Reeves stood, paced to the tent wall, stared at nothing. Who knows you're here? He asked. No one, sir. Officially, I died with my unit. And unofficially? 3 people. One's my handler. One's his boss. One's the analyst who helped me build the cover identity. Names? Can't tell you that, sir. Reeves turned, anger flashing across his face. Cross, I'm the commander of this installation. If there's a security breach, then telling you names just expands the pool of people who could leak them, Lena said flatly. With respect, sir, I trust 3 people in the world right now. You're not one of them. I could have you arrested. You could try, sir. The threat hung between them. Not hostile, just factual. Reeves studied her. What do you need? Access to personnel files, deployment records, financial data for anyone with TS/SCI clearance. Communication logs from the past 18 months. That's half the base staff. Yes, sir. And if I give you this access, what happens? I find the leak, I plug it, I leave. Just like that. Just like that, sir. Hale cleared his throat. Colonel, if what she's saying is true, if someone here compromised a classified operation, we're looking at treason charges. Court-martial. Federal prison. I'm aware, Captain. So we should loop in CID Criminal Investigation Command. Let them handle… CID takes 6 months to investigate a stolen laptop, Lena interrupted. By the time they finish the paperwork, whoever sold us out will be in Beijing or Moscow or Pyongyang, living off blood money and laughing about it. So what's your timeline? 72 hours, sir. 3 days. Yes, sir. Reeves laughed, short, bitter. You want unrestricted access to classified files, no oversight, no accountability, and 3 days to conduct an unauthorized investigation that could destroy careers and trigger a federal shitstorm. That about cover it? Yes, sir. And if I say no? Lena's expression didn't change. Then I do it anyway, sir, but it'll take longer and be messier. Kane whistled low. She's got balls, I'll give her that. She's got a death wish, Hale muttered. Reeves returned to the table, sat, folded his hands. Here's what's going to happen, he said slowly. You're going to continue as a recruit publicly. You'll attend training, follow orders, maintain cover. No special treatment, no deviation from standard protocol. Alina nodded. Privately, Captain Hale will provide limited access to the files you requested. Limited, not unrestricted. He'll monitor your searches, flag anything that looks like overreach. Sir, Hale started, you have a problem with that, Captain? No, sir. Reeves continued, you'll report directly to me, daily, 1800 hours, my office. Miss a check-in, and I lock down the base and you go in a cell until someone with more stars than me decides what to do with you. Clear? Clear, sir. And Cross, if you're wrong, if there's no leak, if this is paranoia or vendetta or whatever the hell else, I will personally see to it that you spend the rest of your natural life explaining yourself to people who make me look friendly. Understood? Understood, sir. Good. Reeves stood. Now get out of my tent and go pretend to be a shitty recruit. Lena stood, saluted, turned to leave. Cross. She stopped. Your unit. The ones who died. What were you doing out there? Her back was to him. Her voice came out quiet, distant. Hunting monsters, sir. Did you find them? Yes, sir. And? They found us first. She left. The next 48 hours were hell. Not the expected kind. Not physical torture. Not sleep deprivation. Not the standard battery of techniques designed to break recruits down and rebuild them. This was different. This was watching Lena Cross fail at everything. She couldn't run without stopping to catch her breath. Couldn't complete the obstacle course without assistance. Couldn't field strip a weapon without fumbling. During rifle qualifications, she missed the target entirely. 5 rounds, 25 meters. Missed. Riley Martinez, shooting 2 lanes over, scored expert marksman. Looked over at Lena with something between pity and contempt. Maybe try opening both eyes, she said. Lena said nothing, just shook her head, loaded another magazine, missed again. Kane watched from the tower, binoculars pressed to his face, jaw tight. She's doing it on purpose, he told Hale later, in the office where cameras didn't reach. Obviously. But why? She's made her point. We know what she is. Why keep playing weak? Hale pulled up footage from the range, zoomed in on Lena's stance, her grip, her sight picture. Everything was wrong. Deliberately wrong. Because someone's watching, Hale said. Not us. Someone else. Someone who needs to believe she's exactly what her file says she is. The leak. The leak. On screen, Lena fired again. The round went wide right, missing by 3 feet. But for one frame, just one, the camera caught her face. No frustration, no embarrassment, just cold calculation. She was hunting. At night, while the barracks slept, Lena worked. The computer lab was supposed to be locked after 2,200 hours. The lock was supposed to be secure. Lena picked it in 40 seconds with a paper clip and a bobby pin she'd pulled from Riley's locker. Inside 6 terminals. 4 were standard admin access. 2 had specialized logins, one for S2 intelligence, one for logistics. She took the logistics terminal, booted it up, entered credentials that Hale had provided, limited access, read-only, flagged for monitoring, started pulling files, personnel records first, 843 people assigned to Redstone Ridge. She filtered for security clearance, TS/SCI and above. 112 results. She filtered for deployment history, anyone who'd served overseas in the past 5 years. 63 results. She filtered for financial irregularities, sudden purchases, unexplained income, lifestyle changes inconsistent with military pay. 14 results. Cross-referenced with duty assignments during the window when her unit's intel would have been accessible. 4 results. She pulled their photos, stared at each face. Captain James Ortega, intelligence liaison, divorced, 2 kids, deployed 3 times, once to the same theater where her unit operated. Lieutenant Sarah Chen, logistics officer, single. No deployments, but handled supply chain for multiple forward operating bases. Warrant Officer Marcus Webb. Communications Specialist. Engaged. Clearance for signals intelligence, access to encrypted channels. And Maintenance Chief Owen Rourke. Civilian contractor. 15 years on base. Invisible, forgettable. Her eyes stopped on Rourke's photo. Mid-50s, balding, soft around the middle. The kind of face you'd pass in the commissary and forget 5 seconds later. No deployments, no combat experience, no reason to have access to operational intel. But maintenance chiefs went everywhere, saw everything. Fixed things in offices where classified conversations happened. She pulled his financial records. Nothing unusual. Modest salary, modest expenses, no red flags. She pulled his work orders. Routine stuff. HVAC repairs, electrical work, plumbing. Then she noticed the pattern. For the past 18 months, every third week, Rourke had submitted maintenance requests for Building 7, the S2 intelligence facility. Every third week, consistent as clockwork. She checked the dates against her unit's operational timeline. 3 weeks before the ambush, Rourke had been in Building 7, replacing ceiling tiles. 1 week before the ambush, he'd been there again, fixing a thermostat. 2 days before the ambush, the day her unit received final mission parameters, Rourke had submitted an emergency work order. Burst pipe in the S2 briefing room. He'd been alone in that room for 6 hours. Lena's hand stopped trembling. For the first time in 9 months, the nerve damage quieted. She pulled her phone. A burner, untraceable. Sent a text to a number with no name. Found him. The response came 30 seconds later. Proof? She took a photo of Rourke's file. Sent it. Waited. The reply took 2 minutes. Confirm before action. No mistakes. She deleted the conversation, powered down the phone, slipped it into her boot, stood, stretched. Her right arm started shaking again, harder now, like her body was punishing her for the brief respite. Tomorrow, she'd continue failing at basic training. Tonight, she'd start watching Owen Rourke. Morning came too fast and too cold. The barracks woke to Kane's voice over the PA system, shouting something about motivation and discipline and other words that meant get up or suffer. Lena dressed in the dark, boots, fatigues, her right arm barely functional until she'd been moving for 10 minutes. Riley was across the bay, already in full uniform, lacing her boots with the efficiency of someone who'd grown up military. You're slow, she said without looking up. Arm's worse in the morning, Lena replied. Maybe you should see medical. Tried that. Kane thinks I'm faking. Riley finished her laces. Stood. Looked at Lena directly for the first time since the push-up demonstration. Are you? Am I what? Faking. Lena met her eyes. If I were faking, would I tell you? Fair point. Riley grabbed her cap. For what it's worth, that thing you did on the obstacle course, the rope climb, that was impressive. Thanks. Also impossible. I got lucky. Bullshit. Riley lowered her voice. I've been climbing ropes since I was 12. My dad was a ranger. I know what good technique looks like. What you did wasn't good. It was expert level, the kind of thing that takes years to develop. Lena said nothing. Riley stepped closer. So here's my question. Who the fuck are you really? Before Lena could answer, the barracks door slammed open. Brent Cole stood there, bruised, pissed, flanked by 2 other recruits, Jason Park and a kid named Davis, all corn-fed muscle and bad decisions. We need to talk, Brent said. Riley glanced at Lena. This about yesterday? This is about her putting me on my ass and then getting special treatment from the colonel. I tripped, Lena said flatly. You fell. Happens. You didn't trip. You threw me. I've done wrestling. I know the difference. Other recruits were paying attention now. Conversations dying, eyes turning. Lena pulled on her cap. If you've got a complaint, take it up the chain. I did. Kane told me to shut up. Captain Hale told me to shut up. Even the fucking medic told me to shut up. Brent moved closer. So I'm asking you directly. What's your deal? I don't have a deal. Then why'd the colonel salute you? The barracks went silent. Lena's expression didn't change, but something shifted behind her eyes. Dangerous. Cold. You're confused, she said quietly. Probably from hitting your head. I know what I saw. You saw me get called into a meeting with senior staff because they were trying to decide whether to process me out. That's all. That's not all. That tattoo, Riley cut in. What tattoo? Brent gestured at Lena's arm, covered now by her uniform sleeve. She's got ink. Military ink. The kind you don't get at a strip mall. Lots of people have tattoos, Riley said. Not like this. It's... He stopped. Struggled to describe what he'd seen in the tent. It's professional, detailed, means something. Means I made a bad choice when I was 19, Lena said. Can we move on? Show us. No. Why not? Because fuck you, that's why. The temperature in the barracks dropped. Jason Park shifted uncomfortably. Davis cracked his knuckles, trying to look threatening. Brent smiled. The expression had nothing friendly in it. You know what I think? I think you're a plant, some kind of test. They put you here to see if we'd help someone struggling or if we'd turn on each other. That's stupid, Riley said. Is it? Look at her. Doesn't talk to anyone. Keeps to herself. Fails every test but somehow stays enrolled. And senior staff treat her like she's special. He wasn't entirely wrong, which made him dangerous. Lena picked up her rifle, unloaded, safe, standard issue. Checked the chamber out of habit. Believe whatever you want, she said. Doesn't change anything. Show us the tattoo. No. I'm not asking. Then I'm not listening. Brent reached for her arm. Lena moved, but this time she didn't throw him, just stepped back, distance opening, hands up, non-threatening. Don't, she said quietly. Or what? Or I'll put you down again, and this time there won't be officers around to stop me from finishing it. The threat landed flat and cold. Davis stepped forward. You really think you can take all three of us? Lena looked at him, then at Jason, then back at Brent. Yes, she said simply. Riley laughed, sharp, surprised. Okay, this is getting stupid. We've got formation in 5 minutes. If you want to fight, take it outside after hours. I don't want to fight, Lena said. Could have fooled me, Brent muttered. The PA system crackled. Kane's voice. Formation in 3 minutes. Move your asses. The tension broke. Recruits filed out, grabbing gear, still whispering, still watching. Brent lingered by the door. This isn't over. Yeah, Lena said. It is. She followed the group out, keeping distance, her right arm shaking worse now from the adrenaline dump. Riley fell in beside her. You're going to make enemies if you keep that up. I'm not here to make friends. Then why are you here? Lena didn't answer. Outside, the morning was gray and cold. The formation assembled, 46 recruits minus 1 because Lena stood at the back, apart, watching. Kane took roll, called out names. When he got to Rourke, maintenance chief, civilian, no reason to be at morning formation, Lena's eyes tracked him across the yard. 54 years old, balding, carrying a toolbox, heading toward Building 7. Same routine, every 3rd week. Kane finished roll call. Ordered PT. The recruits moved as one. Lena moved with them, slower, struggling, weak, but her eyes never left Rourke. He glanced back once, just once. Their eyes met across 50 meters of cold morning air. He looked away first, and Lena knew, with the certainty that came from 9 years of hunting people who didn't want to be found, that he recognized her. Not from the barracks, not from training, from somewhere else, somewhere darker. Her right hand clenched into a fist despite the nerve damage. 72 hours, she'd told Reeves. She was going to need less. Owen Rourke disappeared into Building 7 at 0647 hours. Lena watched him go while pretending to struggle through jumping jacks. Her right arm flopped uselessly at her side, drawing the usual looks. Some pitying, some disgusted, most just tired of watching her fail. Kane shouted something about discipline. The formation moved through exercises like a machine processing parts. Lena counted seconds in her head. Rourke had 17 minutes before his shift officially started. Building 7 was S2 intelligence, restricted access, badge required, cameras at every entrance. He had clearance for maintenance, nothing unusual about a civilian contractor fixing thermostats in classified spaces. Except it was 0647 on a Tuesday morning, and Building 7's HVAC system was functioning perfectly. She'd checked the work order logs last night. No requests, no scheduled maintenance. He was off script. People who went off script made mistakes. Cross, Kane's voice cut through her thoughts. You fall out again and you're doing push-ups until lunch. She forced herself back into the rhythm. Jumping jacks. Arm raises. Her right side barely cooperating, left side compensating. Riley was 3 rows ahead, moving with the kind of precision that came from growing up in military households. She glanced back once, eyes narrowed, still trying to solve the puzzle Lena presented. The formation broke at 7:15, 30 minutes until breakfast. Most recruits headed for the showers. Lena headed for Building 7. She kept to the edges of the yard, moving slowly, favoring her right arm like it hurt. A few people passed her, logistics staff, early shift personnel, someone from motor pool smoking despite regulations. Nobody paid attention to the struggling recruit limping toward the intelligence building. The entrance was locked. Card reader, camera above the door, standard security. Lena pulled out her phone, not the burner, her official one, and pretended to check messages while studying the camera angle. 60-degree field of view, motion-activated recording, blind spot to the left where the building's corner created shadow. She moved into the blind spot, pulled the burner from her boot, sent a text to Hale's secure number. Building 7. Rourke inside. No work order. Need access. The response came fast. Negative. Maintain cover. She typed back. He's moving early. Won't get another chance. Says stand down. That's an order. Lena put the phone away. Studied the door lock. Standard electromagnetic system. Badge access with pin backup. Override possible if you knew the facility code, which she didn't, or if you had physical access to the control panel, which was inside. She could pick the lock. 3 minutes, maybe 4. But the camera would catch her the moment she stepped into frame. Unless the camera stopped working. She looked up. The camera was mounted on a junction box, power and data running through conduit into the building's main electrical system. Maintenance access panel 20 feet away, locked with a basic padlock. Lena walked to it, casual, like she was supposed to be there. Pulled a paper clip from her pocket. She'd started carrying them after the computer lab and worked the padlock. 30 seconds. It clicked open. Inside the panel, breakers, wire bundles, terminal blocks. She traced the conduit to the camera circuit. Breaker 7C. She flipped it off. The camera's LED went dark. She had maybe 90 seconds before someone noticed the security feed dropping. Less if Rourke had people watching. She moved to the door. The lock was electronic but had a mechanical backup required by fire code. She found the emergency release panel, pried it open with her fingernails, pulled the manual override. The bolt retracted with a heavy clunk. She was inside. The hallway smelled like floor wax and old coffee. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. 3 doors on the left, 2 on the right. All marked with designation codes instead of descriptions. Voices from the end of the hall. Male, low, urgent. Lena moved toward them, footsteps silent on industrial carpet, keeping to the wall where the light didn't reach. The voices got clearer. Told you to wait until Thursday. Thursday's too late. They're watching her. So let them watch. She's a recruit. She doesn't know anything. She knows enough to break into the computer lab. She knows enough to pull files. Lena stopped outside the door where the voices originated. Conference room, small, no windows. The kind of space designed for conversations that needed to stay private. Then handle it, the first voice said. That's what we're paying you for. I can't just... She's got protection. Senior staff. Maybe higher. I don't care if she's got the president watching. You find a way to neutralize the problem, or we find someone who will. Silence. Then Rourke's voice, quieter now. What do you want me to do? Make it look like an accident, training incident. Happens all the time. She's good. Better than good. If I come at her directly. Then don't come at her directly. You've been on this base 15 years. You know how things work. Equipment fails. People get hurt. Find a way. Lena's right hand clenched despite the nerve damage. Her left hand moved to her waistband. Empty. No weapon. Not supposed to have one. She should call Hale. Should back out. report what she'd heard, let the system work. But the system had failed her unit. The system had gotten 6 people killed and left her in a cell for 72 days while her captors tested how much pain a human body could process before it stopped being human. Fuck the system. She kicked the door open. It slammed inward, handle punching through drywall. The 2 men inside spun, Rourke near the table, phone in hand, and another man Lena didn't recognize, 40-something, expensive suit, wrong setting for a military base, private contractor or foreign national or something worse. His hand moved toward his jacket. Lena crossed the room in 3 steps. Her right arm was useless, but her left worked fine. She caught his wrist before the gun cleared leather, twisted hard, felt something pop. He screamed. The weapon clattered to the floor. Rourke bolted for the door. Lena let the suit drop. He was crying, holding his wrist, no longer a threat, and went after Rourke. He was faster than he looked. Down the hallway, through the door, into the yard. Lena followed. Her legs worked better than her arm. 9 years of running, from enemies, from memories, from the version of herself that had walked into that ambush believing her unit was invincible. Rourke made it 20 meters before she caught him. She didn't tackle him, didn't need to. Just grabbed his collar, used his momentum against him, let physics do the work. He went down hard, face first into gravel. Blood from his nose, hand scrabbling for purchase. Lena knelt on his back, left hand controlling his right arm, knee pinning his left. "Don't move," she said quietly. He moved anyway, thrashing, panicked. She increased pressure. Not enough to break anything, but enough to make the point. "I said don't fucking move." He stopped. People were watching now. The yard had gone quiet. Recruits frozen mid-exercise. Kane running toward them, shouting something Lena couldn't hear over the blood pounding in her ears. Her right arm was shaking violently. The tremor that had been her cover, her disguise, her reminder of what had been done to her. But her left hand was steady. "Owen Rourke," she said, voice carrying across the yard. "You're under arrest for treason, espionage, and conspiracy to commit murder. You can't... You're not... I'm a federal agent operating under emergency authority, and you're going to tell me who you've been selling information to, or I'm going to make the last 9 months of my life look like a vacation compared to what happens to you." Kane arrived. Weapon drawn, pointed at Lena. "Cross, let him go. Now." She looked up at him. "Sergeant, I need you to lower your weapon and call Colonel Reeves. Tell him code black. He'll understand." "I'm not calling anyone until you..." "Code black, Sergeant. That's an order." "You don't give me orders, recruit." Lena's eyes went flat, cold. The expression she wore when words stopped mattering and violence became inevitable. "Marcus," she said softly, using his first name for the first time, "I have spent 9 years hunting people who do very bad things in very dark places. I have ended lives in ways that would make you stop sleeping. And right now, the only thing stopping me from putting this man's face through the pavement until his skull cracks open is the very thin thread of professional courtesy I'm extending to you." She paused. Let it sink in. "So I'm going to ask one more time. Call the Colonel." Kane stared at her, at Rourke, at the blood on the gravel. He lowered his weapon, pulled his radio. "Base Ops, this is Sergeant Kane. I need Colonel Reeves at the PT yard immediately. Code black situation. Repeat, code black." Static. Then a voice. "Confirm code black?" "Confirmed." "Copy. Stand by." The yard stayed frozen. 46 recruits watching. A handful of drill instructors arriving, weapons ready, not sure who the threat was. Brent Cole stood near the obstacle course, phone out, recording everything. Riley Martinez was closer. She'd followed Lena from the formation, moving quietly, observing. Now she stood 10 feet away, arms crossed, watching with the kind of focus that came from military breeding. "I knew you weren't a fucking recruit," she said. Lena didn't respond. Rourke tried moving again. "You're making a mistake. I'm a civilian contractor. You can't just..." Lena increased pressure on his shoulder. Not much. Just enough to remind him that talking was a privilege she could revoke. "The man in Building 7, she said. "Who is he?" "I don't know what..." Psst. She pressed harder. Something in his shoulder joint made a sound like gravel shifting. "Try again." "I don't... Fuck. His name is Dimitri. That's all I know." Dmitri what? I don't know. He never gave a last name. What organization? I don't, Lena shifted her weight. Rourke screamed. Spetsnaz. Russian intelligence. He said he was GRU, but I don't know if that's true. Riley whistled low. Holy shit. Kane's radio crackled. Colonel Reeves en route. ETA 2 minutes. Lena kept her focus on Rourke. How long have you been feeding them information? 18 months. Why? Money. My daughter, she has medical bills. The contractors don't cover. I don't care about your daughter, Lena cut him off. I care about the 6 people you killed when you sold out Operation Nightfall. Rourke went still. That wasn't supposed to. Wasn't supposed to what? Result in American casualties. You gave them our location, our exfil route, our safe house coordinates. What the fuck did you think was going to happen? They said they just wanted to monitor, to observe. No action. They lied. I know that now. Now. After 6 operators are dead and one spent 2.5 months getting the location of her unit's backup sites tortured out of her. Lena leaned closer. You know what they did to me, Owen? They broke 17 bones, dislocated my shoulder so many times it doesn't sit right anymore, damaged the nerves in my arms so bad that I'll shake for the rest of my life. Her voice dropped to a whisper. And that was the easy part. The hard part was listening to them describe, in detail, how they killed my team, who screamed, who tried to run, who went quiet. Rourke was crying now. I didn't know. I swear I didn't. Where's Dmitri going? What? He's not in Building 7 anymore. I would have heard him leave. So where is he? I don't. There's a safe house. 15 miles north, old hunting cabin. He uses it when things get hot. Coordinates. I don't have. Lena's hand moved to his throat, not choking, just positioned. Coordinates, now. He rattled off numbers. Latitude, longitude. Lena memorized them. The sound of boots on gravel, multiple sets, running. Colonel Reeves arrived with 4 MPs and Captain Hale, all armed, all serious. Reeves took in the scene, Lena kneeling on Rourke, Kane with his weapon lowered, 46 recruits watching, blood on the ground. Report, he said calmly. Owen Rourke, civilian maintenance contractor, Lena said without getting up. He's been selling classified information to Russian intelligence for 18 months. There's a GRU operative named Dmitri in Building 7, or headed to a safe house 15 miles north. I have coordinates. Reeves looked at Hale. Lock down the base. Nobody in or out. Check Building 7. If this Dmitri is still there, detain him. If he's gone, I want every exit covered. Yes, sir. Hale pulled his radio and started issuing orders. Reeves looked at Lena. You kicked this off early. He was moving on me. Had to act. You should have waited for support. Support would have been too late. Reeves studied her. Get off him. Lena stood, stepped back. Her right arm hung at her side, shaking worse than ever. Her left was steady but covered in Rourke's blood. 2 MPS grabbed Rourke, hauled him upright, cuffed him. He was still crying, still babbling about his daughter and medical bills, and not meaning for anyone to die. Reeves ignored him, focused on Lena. This Dmitri. He's going to run. The moment Rourke doesn't check in, he'll know we're coming. Yes, sir. How long do we have? 20 minutes, maybe less. Building 7 is 10 minutes from the north gate. If he left when you kicked that door, he's already off base. Probably, sir. So we lock down, call FBI, let them handle pursuit. Lena said nothing. Reeves stepped closer. What are you thinking? I'm thinking the FBI will take 3 hours to mobilize. I'm thinking Dmitri has extraction protocols. I'm thinking in 3 hours he'll be on a plane to Moscow with everything he knows about our operations, our sources, our methods. And I'm thinking I can reach that cabin in 12 minutes if you give me a vehicle and stop pretending you don't know what I am. Silence. The yard was still frozen, every eye on them. Reeves turned to Kane. Sergeant, clear this yard. Get these recruits back to barracks. Nobody talks about what they saw. Anyone posts to social media they're looking at Article 15. Clear? Yes, sir. Move. Kane started shouting. The formation broke. Recruits scattered, reluctant, still watching over their shoulders. Brent hesitated. Riley grabbed his arm. Come on. But, come on. They left. When the yard was empty except for Reeves, Hale, the MPs, and Lena, Reeves spoke quietly. You're not going alone. Sir. That wasn't a request. You're an asset, a valuable one. But you're also operating on emotions right now. Vengeance, anger. That makes people sloppy. I'm not sloppy. Prove it. Take backup. Lena looked at Hale. Captain? Hale shook his head. I'm intelligence, not a shooter. Then who? Reeves considered. Your call. Pick someone from the training cohort. Someone who can move fast and follow orders. None of them are ready. Then get them ready in the next 5 minutes. Lena thought about it, ran through the roster in her head. 46 recruits, most green, some experienced, a few with potential. Her eyes went to the barracks where Riley Martinez had just disappeared. Ranger father. Competitive to a fault. Good instincts, better reflexes. Not ideal, but workable. Martinez, Lena said. Reeves nodded. Go get her. You leave in 10 minutes. I'll have motor pool ready a vehicle. Yes, sir. She started to move. Reeves caught her arm, the left one. Cross. Dimitri is an intelligence operative, trained, dangerous. If it comes down to a choice between capturing him and coming home alive, you come home. Understood? Lena met his eyes. Understood, sir. She didn't mean it. They both knew it. But Reeves let her go anyway. Riley was in the barracks, halfway through changing into clean fatigues, when Lena walked in. Get dressed, Lena said. Field gear, weapon, 60 seconds. Riley stared at her. What? I said 60 seconds. Move. I'm not... Who the fuck do you think... I'm the person who just pulled a Russian spy off this base, and I need backup to chase down his handler. You're the best option available. So you can come with me and maybe earn some real-world experience, or you can sit here and wonder what might have happened if you'd had the guts to say yes. Riley's jaw tightened. You're serious? 50 seconds. This is insane. 45. Riley grabbed her gear, started dressing. Fast, efficient. What's the mission? Pursuit and apprehension. Hostile is GRU trained, probably armed, definitely dangerous. Just the two of us? Just the two of us. That's stupid. That's all we've got. Riley pulled on her boots, grabbed her rifle, still unloaded, training weapon, but she checked it anyway out of habit. I'm not dying for whatever this is, she said. Good. Neither am I. They left the barracks together, crossed the yard toward motor pool. A Humvee was waiting, engine running, Captain Hale standing beside it with 2 loaded magazines and a radio. Comms channel 7, he said, handing Lena the radio. You find him, you call it in. You don't engage without confirmation. Copy that, sir. He handed Riley the magazines. You know how to use these? I'm a ranger's daughter. What do you think? I think you're about to find out if bloodline means anything. Riley loaded her weapon, checked the chamber, seated the magazine. Lena climbed into the driver's seat. Riley took passenger. Hale leaned in. Coordinates? Lena recited them from memory. That's 15 miles, bad roads. You'll be there in 20 if you don't kill yourself driving. I won't. Dimitri knows you're coming. I'm counting on it. Hale stepped back. Don't make me explain to Colonel Reeves why I let his best asset drive off with a recruit to chase a trained spy. Then don't explain. Just hope we come back. Lena put the Humvee in gear and drove. The road north was gravel and mud, trees pressing in from both sides, thick enough to choke out most of the daylight. Riley gripped the handle above her door as Lena took corners too fast, the Humvee sliding, correcting, never slowing. You're going to flip us, Riley said. I'm not. You're driving like a maniac. I'm driving like someone who knows we've got maybe 8 minutes before Dimitri realizes his asset's been compromised. How do you know he hasn't already? Because Rourke hasn't missed a check-in yet. Dimitri's smart, but he's also methodical. He'll wait for confirmation before running. And if you're wrong, then we show up to an empty cabin and waste 12 minutes. Riley watched the trees blur past. What unit were you with before this? I can't tell you that. Why not? Because it doesn't exist. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting. They drove in silence for 2 minutes. The road deteriorated into something barely better than a deer trail. The tattoo, Riley said. The serpent. I've seen it before. Lena said nothing. My dad had a friend, operator. Wouldn't talk about where he'd been or what he'd done, but he had the same ink, 7 rings, skull in the jaws. A lot of people have serpent tattoos. Not like that. That's specific. That's... Riley stopped, worked through it. That's a unit designation, isn't it? Lena took another corner. The Humvee fishtailed. She corrected without slowing. If I answer that question, Lena said quietly, I'm violating about 6 different classification protocols, so I'm going to ask you very nicely to drop it. Or what? Or after this is over, I'll make sure you spend the rest of your enlistment somewhere that doesn't have internet access or sunlight. Riley smiled despite herself. You're kind of a badass. I'm kind of a pain in the ass with a bad arm and worse attitude. Don't confuse competence for anything heroic, says the woman who just arrested a traitor in front of 46 witnesses. Arresting him was the easy part. What's the hard part? Making sure we both walk away from what comes next. The cabin appeared through the trees, small, weathered, smoke coming from the chimney. Lena killed the engine 50 meters out. They coasted to a stop behind a stand of pines. He's here, Riley whispered. Or someone is. Lena grabbed the radio. Hale, this is Cross. We're on site. Vehicle outside. Smoke from chimney. Requesting permission to approach. Static. Then Hale's voice. Negative. Hold position. QRF is en route. ETA 18 minutes. We don't have 18 minutes. You don't have authority to engage. Lena looked at the cabin, at the smoke, at the vehicle. A black SUV, government plates, engine still ticking from recent use. Copy that, she said into the radio. Holding position. She set the radio down. Riley stared at her. You're not holding position. No. He said, I know what he said. Lena checked her weapon. Hale had slipped her a sidearm, M9 Beretta, 15 rounds. Not much against a trained operator, but better than nothing. Riley chambered a round in her rifle. This is a bad idea. Probably. We should wait for backup. We should. But by the time backup arrives, Dmitri will be gone. And the next time he surfaces, it'll be because he's leaked something that gets more people killed. That's not our problem. Lena looked at her. It's my problem. You can stay here if you want. Riley considered it, really considered it. Then she opened her door. Fuck it, she said. Let's go catch a spy. They moved through the trees, slow, quiet. Weapons ready. The cabin grew larger. Details emerged. Boarded windows, reinforced door, kill zone cleared around the perimeter. This wasn't a hunting cabin. This was a safe house. Professional grade. Lena signaled Riley to circle left. Riley nodded and moved. Lena approached from the right, using trees for cover, watching the windows for movement. Nothing. Too quiet. She reached the wall, pressed against it, listened. Inside. Footsteps. Deliberate. Someone moving with purpose, not panic. A voice. Male. Speaking Russian. Phone conversation. Lena's Russian was functional. She caught pieces. Compromised? Extraction in progress. Eliminate witnesses. The door opened. Dmitri stepped out. 40s, fit, eyes that had seen combat, gun in hand. He saw Lena the same moment she saw him. Both weapons came up. Don't, Lena said. Dmitri smiled. You're the one from Nightfall. I recognize your file photo. They said you died. They were wrong. Clearly. Put the gun down. No. I'm not asking. Neither am I. The moment stretched. 2 professionals, both trained, both aware that the next 3 seconds would determine who lived. Riley's voice from the trees. I've got a shot. Dmitri's eyes flicked left. Just a fraction. Just enough. Lena moved, not at him, at cover. She dove left, rolled, came up behind the SUV. Dmitri fired, 3 rounds, suppressed, quiet, professional. They punched through the Humvee's windshield. Riley fired back. Unsuppressed, loud. The shot went wide, but close enough to make Dmitri duck back toward the cabin. Lena popped up from behind the SUV. Fired twice. Center mass. Both rounds hit. Dmitri staggered. Body armor. He wasn't going down that easy. He returned fire. Lena dropped behind the SUV again. "Riley!" she shouted. "Flank right! Flank right! Drive him toward the door!" "Copy!" Gunfire from the trees, Riley's rifle barking, disciplined shots, controlled burst. Dmitri moved toward the cabin. Lena broke cover, sprinted forward, closed the distance. He turned. Weapon coming up. Lena was faster. She hit him low, shoulder to midsection, drove him backward into the cabin door. It splintered. They crashed through together, rolling, grappling. Her right arm was useless. His left was pinned. Both fighting one-handed, close quarters, brutal. He got a hand on her throat, squeezed. She jammed her knee into his ribs, felt armor, shifted, drove her elbow into his face. Blood, cartilage. His grip loosened. She rolled away. Came up. He was faster, kicked her weapon away. They circled each other, both breathing hard, both bleeding. "You should have stayed dead," Dmitri said. "You should have picked a better employer." He lunged. She sidestepped, used his momentum, threw him into the wall. He bounced off, spun, caught her with a back fist that sent stars across her vision. She stumbled. He pressed the advantage, got behind her, arm around her throat, professional choke, textbook. Her vision started graying. Riley appeared in the doorway, rifle up. "Let her go!" Dmitri used Lena as a shield. "Shoot and you kill her too." Riley's hand shook. "I said let her go!" Lena's right arm, useless, damaged, trembling, moved. Not much, just enough. She found Dmitri's groin, grabbed, twisted. He screamed. The choke released. Lena drove her head backward, felt his nose break, spun, grabbed his weapon arm. Riley fired. The round took Dmitri in the shoulder, non-fatal, but enough. He dropped. Lena kicked his weapon away, knelt on his chest. Her right arm shook violently. Her left pressed a gun to his forehead. "Hello, Dmitri," she said quietly. "We need to talk about Operation Nightfall." Outside, sirens, backup arriving. Inside, a ghost got her answers. And somewhere in Virginia, Owen Rourke realized that betraying his country had been the last mistake he'd ever make. Dmitri's blood pooled on the cabin floor, mixing with sawdust and years of accumulated grime. Lena kept the gun pressed to his forehead while her left hand patted him down. Ankle holster with a backup piece, knife strapped to his calf, phone in his jacket pocket. She pulled each item, tossed them behind her where Riley could secure them. "Talk," Lena said. Dmitri smiled through broken teeth. "I want a lawyer." "You're not under arrest. You're a foreign intelligence operative caught on American soil engaging in espionage. That makes you an enemy combatant, which means I can do whatever I want to you, and the only paperwork I'll fill out is a death certificate." The smile faded. Outside, vehicles screeched to a halt, doors slamming, boots hitting gravel, voices shouting commands. Riley moved to the window, rifle still up, watching the perimeter. "We've got company. Looks like shit. That's a lot of guns." "How many?" 12, maybe 15. Mix of MPs and plainclothes. Lena didn't take her eyes off Dmitri. "The plainclothes are probably agency. They'll want to take over." "Are you going to let them?" "Not until I get what I came for." Footsteps on the porch. Heavy. Military cadence. Colonel Reeves's voice cut through the chaos. "Cross. Status." "One hostile down. Non-fatal. Cabin is secure." "Weapons down. We're coming in." Lena didn't move the gun. "Sir, I need 5 minutes with this asset before anyone else gets near him." A pause. Then, "You've got 2. Make them count." The door opened slowly. Reeves entered first, sidearm drawn but pointed at the floor. Behind him, Captain Hale, 2 MPs, and a woman in her 50s wearing a gray suit that screamed federal agent. The woman took in the scene with cold efficiency. "I'm Deputy Director Sarah Vance, CIA. This facility is now under agency jurisdiction. All personnel need to—" "No," Lena said flatly. Vance's eyes narrowed. "Excuse me?" "I said no. This is my operation, my asset, my intelligence. You can have him when I'm done." "Cross," Reeves started. 2 minutes, sir." "You promised me 2 minutes." Vance stepped closer, ignoring the gun still pressed to Dmitri's head. I don't know who you think you are, but you're currently kneeling on a foreign intelligence operative who has information critical to national security. That makes this my jurisdiction, my asset, and my timeline. So I'm going to ask you once, politely, to step back and let professionals handle this. Lena looked at her, really looked at her, saw the expensive suit, the confident posture, the assumption that authority came from a title instead of experience. How many times have you been captured? Lena asked quietly. Vance blinked. What? Captured. Held against your will. Interrogated. How many times? That's not 0. The answer is 0. I can see it in the way you stand, the way you talk. You've never had your fingernails pulled out one by one, never had electrodes attached to parts of your body you didn't know could feel that kind of pain. Never listened to recordings of your teammates dying while your captors described exactly how it happened. The cabin went silent. Lena's voice stayed level, cold. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to spend the next 90 seconds extracting information from the man who sold my unit to the people who did those things to me. Then you can have him. You can take him to whatever black site you prefer. You can trade him for whoever you want. But right now, he's mine. Vance's jaw tightened. She looked at Reeves. Colonel, control your asset. Reeves didn't move. She's not my asset, ma'am. Technically, she doesn't exist. Then who does she answer to? People above both our pay grades. Vance pulled out her phone, started dialing. Lena ignored her, focused on Dimitri. Operation Nightfall, she said, June 7th, 2024. My unit was tasked with eliminating a high-value target in the Pankisi Gorge. Someone leaked our location 6 hours before insertion. Who was the buyer? Dimitri said nothing. Lena pressed the gun harder. I will pull this trigger. Don't test me. You won't. You need me alive for interrogation. I need you conscious. Alive is negotiable. She shifted the gun, fired. The round went through his thigh, flesh wound, painful but not fatal. Dimitri screamed. Riley jumped. Jesus Christ! Reeves didn't flinch. Neither did Hale. Vance spun around, phone still to her ear. What the fuck do you think you're— Who is the buyer? Lena repeated. Dimitri gasped, clutching his leg. Chechen separatists. Wagner Group contractors. They wanted— Fuck! They wanted your target eliminated before you could reach him. Why? He was selling information. To you. To us. To anyone who paid. They wanted exclusive access. And you just happened to have our location? We cultivated Rourke for 2 years. He gave us everything. Base layouts, security protocols, personnel movements. When your operation came through his clearance level, we knew. Did you know what would happen to my team? We knew the Chechens would respond. We didn't know— He stopped, swallowed. We didn't know they'd torture survivors. Liar. I'm not— Lena fired again. Other thigh. Dimitri's scream rattled the cabin walls. Vance dropped her phone. That's enough. Reeves, get her under control. Reeves crossed his arms. She's got another 70 seconds. Lena leaned closer to Dimitri. You knew exactly what the Chechens would do, because you've worked with them before. Because that's what they do. They don't just kill, they make examples. So I'm going to ask one more time, what did you know? Dimitri's face had gone pale. Blood loss or fear or both. We knew they'd interrogate, standard practice. Extract intelligence before execution. For how long? 48 hours, maybe 72. I was held for 72 days. The number landed like a physical blow. Dimitri's eyes widened. That wasn't supposed to. But it did. Because the Chechens realized I knew things, locations, names, operations. And they had 72 days to pull it out of me piece by piece. Her right arm was shaking violently now, not from nerve damage, from rage held barely in check. Did they get what they wanted? Dimitri asked quietly. No. Because I was trained by people who taught me that some things are worth dying for. But I came close, so close that I stopped caring if I lived or died. I just wanted the pain to stop. She pulled back the hammer on the pistol. Give me one reason why I shouldn't finish what they started. Because I can give you the network, every asset Rourke connected us with, every piece of intelligence he sold, Every operation he compromised. We'll get that from Rourke. Rourke doesn't know half of what we used his information for. He was a cutout, a middleman. I'm the handler. I know where the intelligence went, who bought it, how it was used. Lena studied his face, looking for deception, for angles, found both, but also truth. She stood, stepped back, lowered the weapon. He's yours, she said to Vance. Vance stared at her. Just like that? Just like that. You could have led with interrogation instead of shooting him twice. I could have, but pain clarifies motivation. Now he knows I'm serious. You'll get better results. Vance signaled to the MPs. They moved in, secured Dmitri, hauled him upright despite his screaming protests. As they dragged him toward the door, he looked back at Lena. You should have died with your unit. I know, Lena said quietly. But I didn't. And now you get to live with that mistake. They took him outside. The cabin emptied except for Reeves, Hale, Riley, Vance, and Lena. Riley finally lowered her rifle. Her hands were shaking. That was brutal, Hale finished. That was brutal. That was necessary, Reeves corrected. Cross, you got what you needed? Confirmation, motivation, leverage for future interrogation. Yes, sir. Vance picked up her phone, checked it for damage, cracked screen but functional. You've got a hell of a way of operating, Cross, or whatever your real name is. Cross is fine. Is it your real name? Does it matter? Fair point. Vance pocketed the phone. I'm going to need a full debrief. Everything you know about Nightfall, Rourke, Dmitri, and how this operation went sideways. Classified above your clearance level. My clearance level is TS/SCI with SAP access. Still not high enough. Vance's expression went cold. You're going to tell me what I need to know, or I'm going to make your life very complicated. My life is already complicated. Try again. Reeves stepped between them. Ladies, let's take this back to base. We've got a crime scene to process, a prisoner to secure, and about 15 different agencies who are going to want explanations we can't give them. So let's move before this turns into a jurisdictional nightmare. It's already a jurisdictional nightmare, Vance muttered. They filed out. Riley stuck close to Lena, still processing what she'd witnessed. You shot him, Riley said quietly. Twice, without hesitation. Yes. That's not what they teach in Basic. Basic teaches you how to follow orders. Real world teaches you when to break them. Is that what you did? Break orders? Lena stopped, looked at her. Hale told me to hold position. I engaged anyway. So yes, I broke orders. Why? Because sometimes the right thing to do isn't the thing you're ordered to do. And who decides what's right? You do, in the moment, with incomplete information and no time to second guess. That's what makes it hard. They reached the Humvee. Someone had covered the bullet holes in the windshield with duct tape. Temporary fix, good enough for the drive back. Riley climbed into the passenger seat. My dad told me stories about operators who went off book, who made calls that saved lives but destroyed careers. He said the hardest part wasn't the decision. It was living with it after. Your dad's a smart man. He's dead. IED in Kandahar, 2019. Lena paused, hand on the ignition. I'm sorry. Don't be. He died doing what he believed in. That's more than most people get. They drove back in silence. Chet. Redstone Ridge was locked down tight by the time they returned. Gates sealed. Armed guards at every entrance. Helicopters circling overhead. Probably agency, maybe military, hard to tell from the ground. Reeves directed them to Building 4. Administrative offices, secure conference rooms, the kind of place where careers were made and destroyed. The debrief took 6 hours. Vance led it, flanked by 2 analysts and a man who introduced himself as Special Agent Torres from the FBI. They went through everything: timeline, methodology, evidence chain, use of force protocols. Lena answered every question with clinical precision, no emotion, no justification, just facts. Yes, she'd entered Building 7 without authorization. Yes, she'd physically assaulted Owen Rourke. Yes, she'd pursued a foreign intelligence operative without backup. Yes, she'd shot him twice during interrogation. Every answer was documented. recorded, filed away for future reference or prosecution, depending on how the politics played out. Riley sat beside her, giving her own account. The recruit pulled into an operation she wasn't trained for, following orders from someone who technically had no authority to give them. When Torres asked why she'd complied, Riley's answer was simple: because I trusted her judgment more than I trusted protocol. That raised eyebrows, made people uncomfortable. Trust wasn't supposed to supersede chain of command, but it had, and it had worked. When the formal debrief ended, Vance dismissed everyone except Lena and Reeves. The conference room felt larger with just 3 people. Vance pulled out a folder, set it on the table. I made some calls, she said, to people who know people. Got some answers about who you really are. Lena said nothing. Lena Cross isn't your birth name. It's not even your operational name. It's a cover identity created 18 months ago when your unit went dark. Sounds classified. It is, but I've got the clearance. Vance opened the folder, showed a photo. 7 people in tactical gear, faces blurred, standing in front of a helicopter. One figure smaller than the rest, female, right arm in a sling even in the photo. Task Force Serpent, Vance continued, off books, black budget. Tasked with eliminating high-value targets that conventional forces couldn't touch. Operated in Syria, Afghanistan, Chechnya, Ukraine. 73 confirmed kills over 4 years. 0 captured. 0 compromised. She looked up. Until Operation Nightfall. Lena's expression didn't change. Your unit went into the Pankisi Gorge to eliminate a target who'd been selling intelligence to multiple parties. You were ambushed 6 hours after insertion. 5 operators KIA. 1 captured, you. Held for 72 days before you escaped. I didn't escape, Lena said quietly. I was released. Vance frowned. The report says, the report is wrong. I was released because my captors believed I'd broken, that I'd given them everything. They let me go as a message, proof that even the best operators can be broken if you apply enough pressure. Had you? Broken? No. I fed them disinformation, old operations, compromised assets, nothing current, but they believed it because I sold it well enough. Reeves leaned forward. And after your release, I spent 4 months in recovery, physical therapy for the nerve damage, psychological evaluation to determine if I was still operational. Then I volunteered for this. To hunt the leak. To hunt the leak. Vance closed the folder. Your psych eval says you're borderline. Functional, but unstable. Recommend limited duty only. Psych evals are subjective. They're also designed to prevent operators from getting themselves killed on revenge missions. This wasn't revenge. This was justice. What's the difference? Lena met her eyes. Revenge is personal. Justice is necessary. Silence settled over the conference room. Vance drummed her fingers on the table. You know what happens now, right? Dimitri goes into CIA custody, Rourke gets court-martialed, the base gets investigated top to bottom, and you... She paused. You become a problem. How so? Because you're a ghost who kicked over a hornet's nest. There are going to be questions about who authorized your operation, who knew you were here, who's responsible for the violations of protocol that led to this clusterfuck. I authorized myself. Nobody knew. I'm responsible. That's not going to satisfy the oversight committees. Then tell them I went rogue. I'm off books anyway. Easy to disavow. You want us to burn you? I want you to close this case without creating more problems than you solve. Reeves spoke up. With respect, Deputy Director, Cross achieved objectives that would have taken your people months. She identified a leak, neutralized a hostile intelligence operative, and prevented future compromise of classified operations. That's worth something. It's worth a commendation if she'd done it by the book, Vance said. Since she didn't, it's worth a congressional hearing and probably a federal indictment. So what do you want? Lena asked. I want you to disappear. Go back to whatever hole you crawled out of. Let us clean this up without you causing more damage. And if I refuse? Then I make sure your psych eval gets updated to unfit for duty, and you spend the rest of your life filling out paperwork in a basement somewhere. Lena smiled, no warmth in it. You know what I learned during those 72 days? I learned that the worst thing you can do to someone isn't physical pain. It's taking away their purpose, their reason to fight. She stood. So go ahead. Update my psyche val. File your reports. But understand that I didn't come back from hell to sit in a basement. I came back to make sure the people who killed my unit don't get to do it again. That sounds like a threat. That sounds like a statement of intent. Vance stood too. You're making this very difficult. Good. Easy things don't get remembered. They stared at each other, two women who'd dedicated their lives to protecting the same country but couldn't agree on how. Reeves cleared his throat. Perhaps we can find a middle ground. Cross completes her recovery here. Limited duty, training cadre maybe, consultant role, keeps her busy, keeps her visible, keeps her from going full vigilante. I'm not staying, Lena said. Why not? Because Dimitri's network is still active. Rourke gave us one handler. There are others. Other Owens and other bases selling information to other Dimitris. And every day they operate, more people die. So what's your plan? Vance asked. Hunt them all down? One by one? If that's what it takes. That's not sustainable. Neither is letting traitors operate unchecked. Vance looked at Reeves. Your recruit is exhausting. She's not my recruit. Technically, I'm not sure anyone can claim her. Lucky us. Vance returned her attention to Lena. Here's the deal. You give me everything you pulled from Dimitri and Rourke, every name, every contact, every piece of intelligence. In exchange, I don't burn you. I forget this conversation happened, and you get to walk away without federal charges hanging over your head. And the network? We'll handle it through proper channels, with proper oversight. That'll take years. That's how the system works. The system failed my unit. The system isn't perfect, but it's better than one operator with a grudge and a trembling arm deciding who lives and dies. Lena's right hand spasmed against the table, reminder of what had been done to her, what she'd lost. I'll think about it, she said finally. You've got 24 hours. After that, I make the decision for you. Vance left. The door closed behind her with a heavy click. Reeves and Lena sat in silence. You're not going to take her deal, Reeves said. Not a question. No, sir. Why not? Because I've seen what happens when good people follow bad processes. My unit died because someone prioritized efficiency over security. I'm not making that mistake again. So what will you do? Lena stood. What I was trained to do. Which is? Hunt monsters before they hunt anyone else. Reeves studied her. You know they'll come after you. Vance, her bosses, the oversight committees. You'll be labeled a rogue operator, career destroyed, probably face criminal charges. I stopped having a career the day my unit died. Everything since then has been borrowed time. That's a lonely way to live. Loneliness is survivable. Regret isn't. She walked to the door, paused. Sir, I appreciate what you tried to do, giving me cover, buying me time. But this is my fight. I can't let anyone else carry it for me. Not even Riley? She put herself on the line for you today. Especially not Riley. She's got potential, a future. I won't let her waste it trying to save someone who's already gone. You're not gone, Cross. Damaged, maybe, but not gone. Lena looked back at him. With respect, sir, you don't know what gone looks like. I do. I've been there. And the only reason I came back is because I've got unfinished business. And after the business is finished, I'll let you know when I figure that out. She left. Dinets. The barracks were quiet when she returned. Most recruits were at evening chow. A few lingered, studying, writing letters home, pretending they weren't talking about the woman who'd shot a Russian spy and lived to tell about it. Riley was at her bunk, cleaning her rifle with methodical precision. They let you keep it? Lena asked. For now, pending investigation. Investigation into what? Whether I acted appropriately when I shot a foreign combatant on domestic soil without proper authorization. What'd you tell them? That you gave orders. I followed them. Standard military procedure. That's not entirely accurate. Close enough. Riley set down the cleaning rod. They're going to crucify you. You know that, right? Probably. You don't seem concerned. I'm used to people wanting me dead. Paperwork is just a different kind of threat. Riley smiled despite herself. You're either very brave or very stupid. Probably both. What happens now? Lena sat on the edge of the bunk, Her right arm was shaking worse than usual, adrenaline wearing off, nerve damage reasserting itself. Now I leave, tonight, before they decide to lock me down for my own protection. Where will you go? Wherever the network leads. Alone? Alone. Riley considered that. My dad used to say that operators who work alone either die alone or become something worse than the enemies they're hunting. Your dad was right. So why do it? Because I'm already something worse. Might as well make it count. Riley stood, pulled something from her locker, a small radio, encrypted, military grade. Channel 97, she said, handing it over. It's a private frequency. My dad's unit used it for off-book communications. If you need extraction, backup, or just someone to tell you you're being an idiot, I'll be listening. Lena took the radio. Why? Because today you trusted me with something that could have gotten both of us killed. Because you didn't treat me like a recruit. You treated me like an operator. And because my dad would have done the same thing. I can't promise I'll use this. I know, but it's there if you need it. Lena pocketed the radio. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just don't die doing something stupid. I'll try. Riley extended her hand. Lena shook it. Left hand, firm grip, the handshake of people who'd seen combat together and survived. For what it's worth, Riley said, I hope you find them. Every last one. Me too. Lena gathered her gear, minimal, essential, everything she'd need to disappear. No goodbyes. No ceremony. Just a ghost slipping back into the shadows where she belonged. She left through the back gate at 0200 hours. No alarms, no guards. Reeves had arranged it, one last favor for an operator who didn't officially exist. The Virginia hills swallowed her whole. Behind her, Redstone Ridge continued its rhythm. Recruits training, officers commanding, the machine processing soldiers like it had for decades. But something had changed. A ghost had walked among them. Had shown them that weakness could be camouflage, that failure could be strategy, that the most dangerous person in the room was often the one everyone underestimated. And 46 recruits would carry that lesson forward, into combat, into crisis, into the moments when everything they'd learned failed and instinct became survival. In the morning, when they discovered Lena Cross was gone, some would feel relieved, others disappointed. A few, like Riley Martinez, would understand that some people aren't meant to stay. They're meant to move through the world like storms. Brief, violent, necessary. Leaving everything changed in their wake. The safe house was 60 miles west of Redstone Ridge, buried in the Appalachian foothills where cell signals died and questions went unanswered. Lena arrived at dawn, the Jeep she'd borrowed, stolen, technically, but Reeves had left the keys on his desk with a note that said, "Return when finished," coughing its last as she killed the engine. The house was smaller than the cabin where they'd taken Dimitri. Single room, wood stove, solar panels on the roof feeding a battery bank that hummed quietly in the corner. Everything she needed for the next phase. She unloaded her gear, laptop, encrypted drives containing everything she'd pulled from Rourke's files and Dimitri's phone. The radio Riley had given her, silent for now but charged and ready. Her right arm shook as she set up the workstation. Worse than usual. The adrenaline from the past 72 hours was gone, leaving only the damage. She ignored it, had learned to ignore it. Pain was just information the body provided. You could acknowledge it or act despite it. She chose action. The laptop booted up, 3 encryption layers, biometric authentication. If anyone tried accessing it without her fingerprints and retinal scan, the drives would wipe themselves in under 2 seconds. The files opened, names, dates, transactions, deployments. Dimitri had been busy. 17 separate contacts across 12 military installations. Not all of them were Rourke's. Some were officers, some analysts. One was a chaplain who'd used his access to pastoral counseling sessions to gather intelligence on personnel vulnerabilities. Each contact had a code name. Each code name connected to a handler. Each handler fed information up a chain that disappeared into Russian military intelligence. But the pattern was there, visible if you knew what to look for. Every third week. Always the third week. That was the dead drop schedule. When assets passed information, when handlers collected, when the network breathed, next third week was 6 days away. Lena started building the map. Digital pushpins on a satellite overlay. Fort Bragg. Naval Station Norfolk. Camp Pendleton. Installations where Dimitri's network had tendrils. Her phone buzzed. The burner? Encrypted message from a number she recognized. Status? She typed back. Operational. Targets identified. Timeline confirmed. Extraction available if needed. Negative? Solo operation. Inadvisable. Noted. The conversation ended. Her handler, whoever they were, she'd never met them face to face, would log the exchange, file a report, and forget about it until she surfaced again, or didn't. That was the deal when you operated in the shadows. No backup, no safety net, just the mission and whatever you were willing to sacrifice to complete it. She worked through the morning, cross-referencing financial records with deployment schedules, looking for the overlap, the moments when classified information became available and money changed hands. Found it in 4 locations, same pattern, same timeline. Her phone rang, not the burner, the regular one. Colonel Reeves. She considered not answering, decided that would be rude after he'd left her the Jeep. Sir. Cross. Where are you? Somewhere that isn't your problem. Everything involving you is my problem. You know Vance has issued a bolo for you? Be on the lookout. Federal level. I expected that. She's calling you a rogue operator. Flight risk. Potentially dangerous to yourself and others. She's not wrong. Reeves sighed, heavy, tired. You could have taken the deal, walked away clean. Clean isn't the same as right. Right gets you killed. Maybe, but at least I'll die knowing I tried. Silence on the line. Then, what's your play? Can't tell you that, sir. Why not? Because if this goes sideways, you need plausible deniability. You didn't know, couldn't have known. I went rogue, standard disavowal protocols. I'm getting tired of disavowing people I respect. Then stop respecting people who operate outside the lines. If I did that, I'd have to stop respecting myself. Lena smiled despite everything. How's Riley? Angry, confused, wants to know why you left without saying goodbye. Because goodbyes are for people who expect to see each other again. You don't think you're coming back. I think I'm doing what needs to be done. Whether I come back is secondary. That's a shitty way to live. It's the only way I know how. Another pause. Longer this time. For what it's worth, Reeves said quietly, you did good work here. Found the leak. Stopped the bleed. Saved lives that haven't been threatened yet, but would have been. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me. Just don't get yourself killed doing whatever it is you're about to do. I'll try. That's not a promise. No, sir, it's not. The call ended. Lena set the phone down, returned to the laptop. 6 days until the next dead drop. She had targets, had locations. What she didn't have was resources. 1 operator, 1 damaged arm. Against a network that spanned multiple installations and countries. The math didn't work. Unless she changed the math. She pulled up the encrypted radio Riley had given her. Channel 97. Switched it on. Static. Then silence. The kind of silence that meant someone was listening but not transmitting. Riley, Lena said, if you're monitoring, I need you to understand something. What I'm about to do is illegal, unsanctioned, probably going to end badly. You don't want any part of it. Static. Then Riley's voice. Little late for that. I already shot a Russian spy. My career trajectory is pretty much fucked regardless. This is different. How? Because what I'm planning involves hitting multiple military installations simultaneously, extracting assets, possibly engaging hostile personnel. It's not a tactical operation. It's a systematic dismantling of an intelligence network. Sounds like Tuesday. Riley, you think I gave you that radio because I wanted to listen to you monologue? I gave it to you because I knew you'd try to do something stupid alone, and I wanted the option to help. Lena closed her eyes. You don't owe me anything. No, but my dad died fighting people who sold out their country. If I can help finish what he started, that's worth more than following orders that protect traitors. You'll be court-martialed. Only if we get caught. Riley, stop trying to talk me out of it. What do you need? Lena looked at the map, at the targets, at the impossible timeline. I need 5 operators. Experienced, off books. People who can move fast and won't ask questions. I can get you 3. Maybe 4? How? My dad's unit, the ones who survived. Some of them separated but stayed connected. They'll help if I ask. Why would they help me? Because I'll tell them what you did, how you hunted a leak that killed operators, how you put a bullet in a Russian handler without hesitation. They respect that. Respect doesn't pay bills. No, but purpose does, and most of them are drifting right now, looking for something that matters. You're offering that. Lena drummed her fingers on the table, calculating. Risk versus reward. Probable outcomes versus acceptable losses. 48 hours, she said finally. I need them assembled and briefed in 48 hours. Where? I'll send coordinates. Come alone the first time. I need to vet anyone who's joining this. Understood. And Riley? If this goes wrong, if we get compromised, captured, killed, you need to know that I won't be taking prisoners. Anyone who sold out their country doesn't get mercy. They get justice. Copy that. The radio went silent. Lena sat back, stared at the ceiling, wondered if she'd just made the biggest mistake of her career or the only decision that mattered. 47 hours later, Riley arrived with 3 others. Marcus Webb, comm specialist, early 40s, dishonorably discharged after punching an officer who'd falsified after-action reports. Solid, reliable, angry in the right ways. Sarah Chen, not the logistics officer from Redstone, different Sarah Chen, sniper, late 30s, medically retired after an IED took most of her left foot. Walked with a limp. Shot like the devil himself. And James Ortega, again different from the Redstone captain. This one was former Delta, 52, graybeard, eyes that had seen every kind of combat, and decided he'd rather die fighting than fade away in suburban retirement. They gathered in the safe house. 5 people. No ranks. No formalities. Just operators who'd chosen to step outside the system because the system had failed them. Lena laid out the plan. 6 days from now, 17 assets will make dead drops at 4 installations. Fort Bragg, Norfolk, Pendleton, and Redstone. Each drop happens during a specific window, between 1400 and 1600 hours. Each asset has a handler. Each handler feeds intelligence to Russian military networks. She pulled up the map, red dots marking locations. We can't hit all 17 simultaneously. We don't have the numbers. What we can do is hit the handlers. Take them down hard enough that the network collapses. Webb leaned forward. How do we identify handlers? They're not going to wear name tags. Dimitri gave us identifiers, physical descriptions, behavioral patterns, meeting locations. We'll have eyes on each drop site. When the asset makes contact, we track the handler. Isolate. Extract. Extract or eliminate? Ortega asked. Depends on cooperation. If they provide intelligence, we extract. If they resist... She let the sentence hang. Sarah Chen spoke up. This sounds like a CIA operation. Why aren't we looping them in? Because the CIA moves slow. By the time they get authorization, the network adapts. Handlers disappear, assets get burned, we lose the advantage. So we're going vigilante. We're going direct action. There's a difference. Not to the courts. Courts are for people who expect to get caught. Riley had been quiet. Now she spoke. What's the end game? We take down the handlers, secure the assets, then what? Then we hand everything to people who can prosecute. Names, evidence, testimony. But only after we've neutralized the immediate threat. And if they refuse to prosecute, Webb asked, then we leak it. Public disclosure, media, congressional oversight, force their hand. Ortega smiled, grim, dangerous. You've thought this through. I've had 72 days to think about nothing else. The room went quiet. Sarah broke the silence. I'm in, but I need to know, is this about justice or revenge? Lena met her eyes. Does it matter? Yes, because revenge makes you sloppy. Justice keeps you sharp. Then it's justice. Because I plan on being very sharp. They spent the next 5 days preparing. Surveillance, route planning, equipment acquisition, mostly borrowing, some stealing, none of it legal. Web setup encrypted comms, satellite uplink, frequency hopping radios that couldn't be intercepted or jammed. Sarah Chen established sniper positions at 2 of the 4 sites. Overwatch, cover fire if things went loud. Ortega handled logistics, vehicles, extraction routes, safe houses for interrogation. Riley coordinated intel, cross-referencing Dimitri's data with current deployments, making sure their targets hadn't shifted. Lena oversaw everything, checked every detail, challenged every assumption. Her right arm shook constantly now, stress and exhaustion making the nerve damage worse. But her mind was clear, focused. For the first time since the ambush, she felt like herself again, like the operator she'd been before captivity broke something fundamental inside her. On the 5th night, Riley found her outside the safe house, smoking, which Lena didn't normally do but had picked up somewhere between torture and recovery. "You should sleep," Riley said. "I will, later." "You look like shit." "I feel worse." Riley sat beside her. "My dad used to say that the nights before big operations were the hardest, not because of fear, because of anticipation, the waiting." "Your dad was right about a lot of things. He would have liked you." "I doubt that." "No, really. He had a thing for operators who operated outside normal channels, said they were the ones who got things done while everyone else was filing paperwork." Lena took a drag, let the smoke burn her lungs. "Did he tell you why he operated that way?" "He said it was because the system protects itself before it protects the people it's supposed to serve, and sometimes you have to break the system to save it." "That's seditious talk." "That's honest talk." They sat in silence. Stars overhead, cold wind carrying the smell of pine and coming winter. "After this is over," Riley said quietly, "what happens to you?" "I don't know." "You going to disappear again?" "Probably." "Why?" "Because I don't fit in the normal world anymore. I've seen too much, done too much. The things that make sense to regular people, careers, relationships, planning for the future, they feel like fiction to me now." "So you just keep hunting?" "It's what I'm good at." "That's not an answer." "It's the only answer I have." Riley stood. "For what it's worth, I hope you find something worth staying for. Something that isn't killing or surviving." "Me too." Riley went inside. Lena finished the cigarette, crushed it under her boot. Tomorrow, the network died. And maybe, if she was lucky, she'd find something worth living for in the wreckage. The operation kicked off at 13:45 hours. 4 installations, 4 teams, simultaneous action. Lena took Redstone with Riley. Webb and Sarah took Norfolk. Ortega handled Pendleton solo. He'd insisted, said he worked better alone. Fort Bragg they'd contracted to a 5th operator Riley had vouched for. Former Marine. Good reputation. Better instincts. The asset at Redstone was Captain Hale. That had been the hardest revelation. The intelligence officer who'd helped her access files, who'd provided cover, who'd seemed genuinely committed to catching the leak. But Dimitri's phone had his name, his transactions, his dead drop schedule. Hale had been feeding information for 11 months, not as long as Rourke, but long enough to do damage. Lena watched him from across the parking lot. He was walking toward Building 7. Same route, same time, just like the pattern suggested. "I've got eyes on," Riley whispered through comms. She was positioned on a rooftop 2 buildings over. "Overwatch." "Copy," Lena replied. "Hold position." Hale entered Building 7, emerged 6 minutes later, walked to his car, drove to a coffee shop 3 miles off base. Civilian location. Smart, harder to surveil. Lena followed in the borrowed Jeep, stayed back. Let 2 cars separate them. Hale parked. Went inside. Ordered coffee. Sat at a corner table with a newspaper. Classic tradecraft. The newspaper was the signal, folded specific way, sports section visible, meant he had something to pass. Lena entered the coffee shop, casual, tourist, ordered tea, sat where she could watch. 20 minutes. 30. Then a man entered. Mid-30s, expensive jacket, European cut. He ordered espresso. Sat 2 tables from Hale. Didn't make eye contact. Didn't speak. Just read his phone while his foot tapped against the table leg. Morse code. Simple. Effective. Hale tapped back with his pen against his coffee cup. Communication without words. Information exchanged without evidence. The European stood, left cash on the table, walked out. Hale waited 5 minutes, then followed. Lena didn't follow either. She knew where they were going. The dead drop was in a park 6 blocks away. Hollow tree. Classic but effective. She'd already positioned herself there 2 hours ago. Hidden camera. Audio surveillance. Now she just had to wait for confirmation. Her earpiece crackled. Webb's voice from Norfolk. Handler acquired. Moving to secondary location. Sarah Chen. Target eliminated. Hostile resisted. No survivors. Ortega. In pursuit. Handlers running. Will update. Riley. Hale just left the park. He made the drop. Copy, Lena said, moving to intercept Handler. She left the coffee shop. Moved through the park. Quiet. Purposeful. The European was at the tree, reaching into the hollow, pulling out an envelope. Lena stepped from the trees, gun drawn. Don't move. He froze, hands visible, envelope in his left. Put it down, Lena said. He did. Slowly. Turn around. He turned, saw her face. Recognition flickered. You're supposed to be dead, he said. Russian accent, thick. I get that a lot. Dmitri said, Dmitri's in a CIA black site answering questions he doesn't want to answer. You're next. I have diplomatic immunity. Not for espionage, you don't. He smiled. You won't shoot. Too many witnesses. Too much exposure. Lena glanced around. The park was empty. 1,400 hours on a Wednesday. Everyone was at work. What witnesses? She asked, then shot him in the leg. He dropped, screaming, clutching his thigh. Lena moved forward, kicked his weapon away. He'd been reaching for it, knelt beside him. Here's how this works. You give me every name in your network, every contact, every operation, and in exchange, I don't let you bleed out in a public park. Fuck you. She pressed her boot against the wound. He screamed louder. Names. Now. He gave her 7. Handlers in 3 countries. 2 assets at Norfolk. One at a CIA facility in Langley, which explained how Dmitri had stayed ahead of investigations. Lena recorded everything, then called 911 from a burner phone, reported a shooting, described the victim, left before EMTs arrived. By 1700 hours, all 4 operations had concluded. Webb had 2 handlers in custody. Sarah had eliminated one who'd tried to run. Ortega had captured his target, barely. The handler had been former Spetsnaz. It had been close. Fort Bragg's operator reported success. Asset detained. Handler disappeared into federal custody. 17 assets compromised. 9 handlers captured or eliminated. Network crippled. Not destroyed. Not yet. But damaged badly enough that reconstruction would take years. Lena gathered her team at the safe house that night. They were tired, bruised. Sarah had taken a graze across her shoulder. Ortega's knuckles were split. His handler had fought hard. But they were alive, and they'd accomplished something the official channels couldn't. What now? Webb asked. Now we compile everything. Evidence, testimony, recordings, and we hand it to people who can use it. Who? Reeves, Vance, congressional oversight, multiple channels. Make sure it can't be buried. And then? Then we disappear, before someone decides we're too dangerous to leave operational. Riley looked at her. What about Hale? What about him? He helped you before. Does he get a pass? Lena shook her head. Nobody gets a pass. He made his choice. Now he lives with consequences. That's cold. That's fair. They spent the next 3 hours packaging the intelligence, digital files, physical evidence, witness statements from the handlers who'd talked. Lena encrypted everything, sent copies to 5 different recipients, insurance against suppression. By midnight, it was done. That's it? Ortega asked. We just walk away? We walk away, Lena confirmed. Before someone decides walking isn't an option. They dispersed. Webb to Montana, Sarah to Arizona, Ortega back to civilian life in Nevada. Riley stayed behind. You coming back to Redstone? She asked. No. Why not? Because Reeves was right. I don't fit in the normal world, and trying to pretend I do just gets people hurt. So what's your plan? Keep hunting. There are more networks, more traders, more people selling out their country because they're greedy or desperate or compromised. You can't fight them all. No, but I can fight enough that it matters. Riley studied her. You're going to get yourself killed. Probably. And you're okay with that? Lena considered the question. Really considered it. I died with my unit, she said finally. Everything since then has been borrowed time. If I spend it making sure what happened to them doesn't happen to anyone else, that's a pretty good trade. That's not living. That's just not dying. For me, there's not much difference. Riley pulled out the radio, the one she'd given Lena weeks ago. Keep this, please, so I know you're still out there. I can't promise I'll use it. I know, but keep it anyway. Lena took the radio. Thank you for everything. Don't thank me. Just don't die alone in a ditch somewhere. I'll try. They hugged. Brief. Awkward. The embrace of soldiers who'd fought together and knew they might never see each other again. Then Riley left, and Lena was alone. 3 months later, headlines started appearing. Military intelligence network compromised. Multiple arrests. Russian spy ring dismantled at 4 U.S. installations. Congressional hearing demanded after espionage. Revelations. The stories didn't name Lena Cross, didn't mention Task Force Serpent, didn't acknowledge the ghost who'd walked through Redstone Ridge pretending to be weak while hunting monsters. But people who knew, Reeves, Vance, the operators who'd helped, they knew. And in the classified briefings that followed, in the secure rooms where policy was made and wars were planned, her name became shorthand for a particular kind of operator, the kind who couldn't be controlled, couldn't be contained, but could be pointed at problems the official channels couldn't solve. Lena didn't see those headlines. She was in Eastern Europe by then, following a lead on arms dealers who were selling American weapons to Syrian militias. Her right arm still shook. Probably always would. But her left was steady, and that was enough. She'd learned something during those 72 days in captivity, something the torture couldn't break and the recovery couldn't heal. She'd learned that strength wasn't about being unbreakable. It was about breaking and still getting up. It was about being underestimated and using that against your enemies. It was about choosing purpose over comfort, justice over safety, action over despair. 6 operators had died because someone thought selling secrets was victimless. They'd been wrong. And Lena Cross, ghost, operator, hunter of traitors, was going to spend the rest of her life proving exactly how wrong they'd been. Not for glory, not for recognition, but because some debts could only be paid in blood and time and relentless, unyielding pursuit of the people who'd earned it. Back at Redstone Ridge, Riley Martinez stood in formation with 45 other recruits, one less than before because some people weren't meant to stay. When Sergeant Kane asked if anyone had questions, Riley raised her hand. Sergeant, what happened to Cross? Kane's expression didn't change. Cross washed out, medical discharge, nerve damage made her unfit for duty. That's bullshit, Sergeant. Watch your mouth, Martinez. She wasn't unfit. She was the best operator I've ever seen. Kane stepped closer. You saw what you needed to see. Nothing more. Nothing less. And if you're smart, you'll forget about Cross and focus on your own training. Yes, Sergeant. But Riley didn't forget. None of them did. Because on the day they'd seen a trembling recruit with a damaged arm put a Russian spy on the ground and shoot him without hesitation, they'd learned something no drill instructor could teach. They'd learned that real strength doesn't announce itself. That the most dangerous person in the room is often the one everyone underestimates. And that sometimes the people who seem weakest are actually the ones carrying weights the rest of us can't imagine. 45 recruits carried that lesson into their careers, into combat zones, into moments when everything seemed hopeless and strength seemed impossible. And when they struggled, when injuries mounted and missions failed and the weight became too much, they remembered the woman who'd shaken with nerve damage but never with fear, who'd been broken but never defeated, who'd taught them that weakness is just another weapon if you know how to use it. Somewhere in the world, Lena Cross kept hunting, and everywhere she'd been, people remembered. Not her name, not her face, but the lesson she'd left behind. Real strength isn't loud, and the most dangerous person in the room is often the one everyone underestimates.